Talk shoes. Recorded live.
Hello, this is Rich Bernardo, the producer and director of Crazy Insane Radio, the series, a Rich Bernardo production. This is the director's commentary. This is going to be an informal chat. This is a bonus feature extra in which I will be commenting on the various episodes of Crazy Insane Radio. First of all, I want to welcome you to the universe in which Crazy Insane Radio takes place. Welcome to the city of Murgatroyd and its neighbor city, Flattown, populated by all sorts of interesting and strange people that you'll meet in this continuing series. In episode 2, I introduce the theater, where there's a chilling double feature going. I Was a Teenage Cannibal and Diary of a Mad Drag Queen. These are grade B movies, something along the lines of maybe what Ed Wood would have done. And this will be a recurring theme throughout my episodes. It comes up later in that same episode 2, Revenge of the Statue of the Buddha, another grade B exploitation thriller. Another recurring feature that will pop up from time to time in various episodes of Crazy Insane Radio is the random telephone call sample. And these are actual telephone calls with different people in the past that in the universe of our wonderful Murgatroyd city. And this will be a recurring thing also. And usually these are very dynamic and exciting and heated discussions that are taking place in these random telephone call samples. Another recurring theme is the country and western hits. And again, these have outrageous, absurd titles, absurd, outrageous content, because in the Crazy Insane Radio world of Murgatroyd City, everything is slightly over the top. Another thing that's introduced in episode 2 is the CRZY weather with its slogan, "The Eyes Have It." And of course, that famous CRZY weather jingle that you'll hear over and over again, it's a recurring theme that's introduced in episode 2. Then in episode 3, Apronhead's Last Stand, we introduce Dr. Derrickson and Dr. Flipsher, who both come on. Dr. Flipsher is a hillbilly psychiatrist from Flattown, and they both come on and they make their psychological observations of Apronhead. And he's the insane person who destroyed the paper doll factory by burning it down and then doused gasoline on himself and killed himself and the owner of the paper doll factory. But we also have another character that's introduced in episode 3, Japanese business magnate Fudiki Hiramoto, who has plans to reopen the paper doll factory. And then right about that time, one of the coolest effects that I have going in this episode 3, there's this little paper doll that goes flitting across the screen right after the Hiramoto character is introduced. Sawmill City is referenced, and Flattown is referenced too. Even the road sign going to Flattown is shown. Then in episode 4, we have a news bulletin, and it's Hugh Millitson. And, of course, he takes you to the Senator Quint hearings, the House Senate hearings into the Vincini Cosmetics. And in this episode, we meet Senator Quint, who is a figure who occurs again in a later episode. And we meet Judy Vincini, the CEO and owner of the Vincini Cosmetics, and she's also a main central character to Murgatroyd City, to the Crazy Insane Radio, and she's a recurring character. So this was my commentary for episodes 2, 3, and 4. Enjoy listening to Crazy Insane Radio. Enjoy watching the videos. They're all over my Facebook group. They're also available on Vimeo and on YouTube. Eventually, they'll be released on disc too. So, enjoy Crazy Insane Radio, a Rich Bernardo production.
Talk shoes. Recorded live.
Good evening. This is Rich Bernardo, producer, director, mastermind, writer, and creator of the Crazy Insane Radio series. All of this is my own original content and original material, and I hope that you viewers on YouTube and Vimeo and on my various Facebook groups where this is posted are thoroughly enjoying it. I also post the show on Twitter often. This is my director commentary, part 2. It's been a part 1 that covered the first 4 episodes. So we're picking up here again, informal chat, telling you how I do what I do with this fun and exciting series, Crazy Insane Radio, which, as you know, takes place in the fictional land of Murgatroyd City, populated with all kinds of strange, eccentric, and interesting people and events. In episode 4, we meet Hugh Millitson. He is the announcer and anchorman of CRZY. CRZY is a television station there in Murgatroyd. We meet Senator Quint, who is grilling Judy Vincini, the owner and CEO of the Vincini Cosmetics Corporation, at a House Senate hearing investigation into Vincini Cosmetics. And I want to give the shout out to Jamie Thomas, the wonderful actress who portrayed Judy Vincini in this and in future episodes. We hear reference to the Murgatroyd serial killer. We hear about a young near victim who escaped, Shumiko Hiramoto, who is the daughter of Fudiki Hiramoto, who was introduced as the Japanese business magnate who's going to rebuild the paper doll factory that was burned down in a previous episode by Apronhead. In episode 5, Drifties, the hamburger joint, fast food place, reappears. Again, Hugh Millitson appears. There's mention of a suicide note left by Apronhead. We don't get to see the contents of it yet, but there's mention of it. There's a Vincini product ad, one of the many products that Vincini Cosmetics releases, and there are ads for 2 grade B movies, a double feature at the Triplex Theater. Episode 6, the shooting of Senator Quint. Senator Quint is a character that I've killed off early on for various reasons, dramatic reasons within the context of my series that will unfold later on. Let's just say, suffice it to say that this is a very interesting, moving episode dealing with the shooting of Senator Quint. Episode 7 introduces Lieutenant Skitters. Now, Lieutenant Skitters is a chief investigator, the lead investigator into the Murgatroyd serial killer who has been already alluded to in a previous episode. Once again, Shumiko Hiramoto is referenced as being the victim who got away, the one who escaped. Episode 8, there is, again, talk about the funeral procession of Senator Quint, which is related to his assassination. And then we have a recurring thing which occurs in more than one episode, the random telephone call sample. Episode 9, Hugh Millitson does man-on-the-street interviews to see what the public reaction to Senator Quint's televised funeral was. And again, there's a Vincini product ad and a Drifties ad. Episode 10, Hugh Millitson, and we have Judy Vincini delivering a eulogy for Senator Quint at the funeral, and then we have Judy Vincini there in the studio being interviewed by Hugh Millitson. And again, this part is played by Jamie Thomas, and she does a wonderful job. Episode 11, a special with Hugh Millitson. Who is the Murgatroyd serial killer? The entire episode is devoted to recounting some details of the serial killings and some speculation and clues as to the Murgatroyd serial killer. Episode 11, movie ads again. Revenge of the Statue of the Buddha. Sex Slaves of Planet Sigma 5. And then the Drifties ad, the Drifties hamburger place. Episode 13 is the trailer for Exiled Sex Slaves from Planet Sigma 5. Episode 14 is a trailer for I Was a Teenage Cannibal, another one of those sleazy exploitation B-movie thrillers that's always playing at the local Triflex, Triple Flex Theater. Episode 15, Lieutenant Skitters appears, CRZY News, and he names a suspect in the Murgatroyd serial killings. In fact, he calls out a new character who's introduced, Accounts Pedestrian the Third. Episode 16, we finally get to find out the contents of the Apronhead suicide note. We have a wonderful overview of the city of Murgatroyd, the Murgatroyd Freeway at the very beginning of the episode, in episode 17 and 18. And Count Pedestrian releases his speech in which he's trading barbs with Lieutenant Skitters back in the United States. Count Pedestrian's already left the country, of course. We have financial news. Vincini acquiring Uncle Crudbucket's Basic Lime Thigh Cream. And we have a studio interview there with Judy Vincini again by Hugh Millitson. And at the end of the episode, the Murgatroyd serial killer issues an ultimatum to Hugh Millitson. Then in episode 19, we have the origin and introduction of a new character, Flashy the Paper Doll. And that's my commentary, my director's commentary on episodes 4 through 19. Watch them on YouTube, Crazy Insane Radio, Rich Bernadotte Production. Watch them on Vimeo, and you can watch them on the Facebook groups, Crazy Insane Radio and Rich Bernadotte Productions. Again, I want to thank you for watching the episodes. Thank you for listening to the commentary. Good night.
Talk shoes. Recorded live.
Good evening. Hello there. This is Rich Bernadotte, writer, creator, producer, and director of Crazy Insane Radio, the series. And this will be my director's commentary for Season 2. Will also be an episode guide, too, where I talk a little about different key episodes and different key characters in the second season. So welcome, everyone. I hope you are enjoying Crazy Insane Radio. Please keep watching it. Several episodes per week are created and placed on YouTube. And I would like for you to leave your comments and your thumbs up and your likes. And, of course, content is the important thing here. And I strive to create important and exciting, thrilling content. And I hope you're enjoying all of it. And, again, I'm available for your questions. You can leave a comment right there underneath the YouTube videos themselves, the Rich Bernadotte, Crazy Insane Radio, the series. And, of course, I also have Facebook groups devoted to this as well. Crazy Insane Radio, the series, is also a Facebook group that I have. And then Rich Bernadotte Productions as well. You're welcome to join those groups. You're welcome to ask questions and make comments. All right. There are several key characters in Season 2. Some of them appeared in Season 1. Some of them may have been newly introduced in Season 2, and we'll cover that as I go. First of all, Flashy, the paper doll, has become a central character by this point. She occurs in episode 34 and numerous other episodes after that. And also available there on YouTube is the best of Flashy, in which I've taken all of the Flashy the Paper Doll episodes and put them together so that anyone can see a lot of the key episodes that feature her. Some of her episodes, by the way, are in Season 1, because she started in episode 19 in Season 1. But the action heats up in Season 2, not just for Flashy the Paper Doll, but for a number of other characters, too. Imogene Flakowski is in episode 35. She is a columnist at the Murgatroyd Times, but she is also a commentator on CRZY News, TV station CRZY. She blasted Blatson the artist in episode 35. And, of course, Blatson came back and responded to Imogene in episode 37. Blatson is a local artist on the scene in Murgatroyd. Flash entered a beauty contest in episode 38. Dr. Gatrick is introduced in episode 39. Now, Dr. Gatrick is the scientist who created Flashy in the biotech lab. And he's an interesting character. He recurs later on in a different, in several different episodes as well. Episode 40, Senator Devane. Senator Devane is the senator who replaced Senator Quint, who was assassinated very early on in season 1. The mayor of Murgatroyd, Mayor Paransky, appears in episode 42 and then in several subsequent episodes. And in episode 43, Dr. Hubert Slakowski of the Divine Humanity Cathedral. And yes, it is later revealed that he is Imogene Slakowski's father. In episode 44, we have the Flashy Protesters. These are skateboarders who support Flashy. They are part of a social movement that supports her human rights. Episode 45 introduces Woodpulp Boy. He is another artificially created life form who is coming to see Flashy, and this happens in season 2, of course, in a future episode. The Murgatroyd serial killer, of course, is still at work. He's still unapprehended, and he pops up in episode 49. And there is a pop star interviewer, a person who interviews various pop stars named Leadstuff Gowl. He appears not only in episode 49 and 50, but he appears in several subsequent episodes. In episode 51, Flashy the Paper Doll appears on Les Tomac's talk show. Now, Les Tomac, not only is he an employee of CRZ News, but he has his own talk show at CRZY as well. There is a soap opera called Heart's Desire that pops up in episode 56. And there is a character named Ronson Kilroy. He's also an employee of CRZY News, and he appears in episode 57 and in subsequent episodes as well. Of course, the Leadstuff Gal pops up again. The Heart's Desire, the soap opera, pops up again. And, of course, Imogene is a recurring character, too. So that sums up some of the main characters and some of the main plot lines that are going on from episode 33 through episode 63. And, again, I hope you've enjoyed watching them. I hope you continue to watch them. And just come on over to YouTube every couple of days to the Rich Bernardo channel, where you will see a new episode or 2 or 3 of Crazy Insane Radio series. Thank you very much. This has been the director, creator, and writer of Crazy Insane Radio series, Rich Bernardo. Good night. For Leilana to come back. Why don't I talk to you a little bit about some of the things that I've got going on. As you know, there's something going on called Rich Bernardo Productions, in which I've begun to do quite a few videos on YouTube. And in effect, and at some point I'll do a show about this in the future, in which I discuss all of it. I've basically created a universe. It is, in fact, a mini-series. It is episodic in nature, soap operatic in nature, with some similarities, perhaps, to things such as picket fences, northern exposure, Knots Landing, what have you. It's a make-believe town, make-believe city, with a neighboring make-believe town. All of the characters are, of course, imaginary because this is a fictional world. This universe that I've created. But it bears
Was that the one
strong.
with the flash? Was that the one with the flashy paper dolls?
Yes. I see you've seen one of those episodes. Most recently, right, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed that, Terry. Most recently, I put together, and these are available on both Vimeo and YouTube to be seen anytime, as well as on my Facebook groups. Rich Bernardo Productions is one of them, and Crazy Insane Radio is another group that I have on Facebook where you can see these videos because I post them every day or two or three as I create them. And the latest ones that I did, I actually took episode 10, 11, and 12 and put them all together in one longer episode that's available both on Vimeo and YouTube as well as on those two Facebook groups that I mentioned. And it's easy to find through Google. Crazy Insane Radio will definitely pull it up. If you shoot Rich Bernardo out to the side, my name also, it'll pull up even more quickly. And I have a channel on YouTube, Rich Bernardo channel, in which all of these episodes can be seen. And then I'm also there on Vimeo as well. And I would encourage anyone that enjoys being entertained and enjoys a fantasy world that's taking place in contemporary. It takes place in our own modern-day times. Although I don't assign an exact year. I do in one episode toward, I think in episode 11 or episode 12, I mentioned 2012, and then I say this has been going on for 4 years. So I do, in fact, I do have it set in our own time period, 2016. I will later on be introducing more characters. There's numerous storylines that will be introduced over time. And there's even a show within the show, so to speak, because within the city of Murgatroyd, which is the fictional city in this universe where all of this is taking place, of course, they have movie theaters just like we do. And one of the productions that is showing at that local theater, I just did the trailer for it too, episode 13, which came out today and is available all over the place for anybody to watch. And it was called Exiled Sex Slaves of Planet Sigma 5. And I had a great deal of fun doing that trailer for that. And it may ultimately become a little production of its own. When I say show within a show, a lot of the things that are referenced and alluded to and mentioned within the context of Crazy Insane Radio, within the context of the city of Murgatroyd, a lot of these things will be a subline or a subplot, or they'll take on a life of their own. Just as way back in the day, as you will remember, the Mary Tyler Moore Show had the spinoff show Rhoda, and then the spinoff show Phyllis, and then Lou Grant, her boss at the TV station, even went on to become a newspaper editor, had his own show, Lou Grant. Those were all spinoffs, MTM spinoffs of the Mary Tyler Moore Show. So in the same sense, I'm doing that within the context of my Crazy Insane Radio. So there will ultimately be a spinoff shows in which different characters within this are explored. Absolutely. There's something about holding an old book in your hand. Absolutely.
How did you end up creating and releasing the Crazy Insane videos on YouTube and DVD? I've been keeping up with those, as you know.
Yes. And thank you. I appreciate you keeping up with them. That is a labor of love. It is a joy. I feel inspired to do them. They do allow me to explore many creative talents that I've got, both as a writer, a director, a producer, and the editing itself. The putting together of them. It is the direction that I do want to go in. I personally, and of course I'm biased because I created it, but I personally think that the content is unique and interesting. I have several storylines going. Of course I would like for, some big Hollywood producer or somebody to come along and notice it and make me an offer I can't refuse or whatever. But, nevertheless, if that never happens, I can be like these small independent filmmakers, and there's many of them all over the world who submit their films to film festivals such as Sundance, and then there's other film festivals as well. And they may never achieve fortune with their work, but they do achieve critical respect from other directors and from other creative people who recognize what they're doing and understand the artistic level that they're achieving, and even the concepts and the ideas and the way in which they're exploring them. And if I never get anything other than that, if I never achieve anything other than fan reaction from my YouTube viewers and from the people who buy the DVD edition, which I have now released, I will be satisfied with that. Of course, it would be great if I can achieve eventually some type of commercial success with it, but if not, I'm not going to be disappointed. I will continue to make the episodes. I will continue to do it because it is a joy. Other than running and operating this bookstore, which I've done for the better part of 40 years now, there's nothing else that quite approaches the level of satisfaction that I received from doing that. I am engrossed and involved in it, and I'm in the same way whenever I've been writing a book, and I've written, a couple of free books. The one that's published, of course, is an e-book. It's the one about eBay. But I've done a lot of fiction work, and in fact, the original script work that the Crazy Insane Radio is evolving out of is about a 300-page script that I began writing way back in 1992. And a lot of these characters are straight from that and are evolving and developing and going in all sorts of wonderful directions, and I'm really, really having a blast with it.
What are some of the storylines, and how many more seasons will it go?
I think, Terry, that I'm going to continue with it just ad infinitum as far as seasons go, because it does have an infinite number of potential storylines that can open up into the future, because they have so many characters going, and new characters get introduced in each season, of course. The main storyline so far, in season 1, I began, of course, there was the shooting of Senator Quint. One of the backstories had been the scandal involving the Vincini Cosmetics, in which the CEO, Judy Vincini, had been accused during a Senate hearing of having put a low-level acid in the face cream, and thousands of women's faces had been scarred, and there had been this huge class action lawsuit against Vincini based on the tainted face cream. And if you'll recall, in season 1, of course, Senator Quint is slain. He's killed. And that's one storyline. Of course, the assassin just got arrested a couple of weeks back in an episode in the late second season. It's when they finally capture the assassin himself. There is, of course, the Murgatroyd serial killer storyline, and that's been going since very early in season 1, too. And the history of that within Murgatroyd, the fictional universe of Murgatroyd City, the serial killings have now been going on for 4 years. He remains unidentified, unapprehended. There's, rampant speculation as to who it could be, but nobody knows for sure. There have been 21 victims so far. And that is a key and main storyline right there. Another storyline, of course, that has evolved as a sort of a side shoot-off. An offshoot of that is the kidnapping of Dr. Hubert Slakowski, the televangelist minister and father of Murgatroyd Times news columnist Imogen Slakowski, who also is a sort of a commentator, anchor woman, editorialist, also there at CRZY News as well. And she, of course, is a misogynist. She's a very different, I should say she's a man-hater. She hates everybody, but she particularly hates men, and she has a lot of rants, and her column is very biased against men. And she started taunting the Murgatroyd serial killer, and, of course, now he's begun to target her through threats and so on and so forth. That's the storyline. Now, a key central storyline, of course, is Flashy the Paper Doll. She was introduced in episode 19, and she is, in fact, a living, breathing, walking life form, an artificially created life form created in a biotech lab from human DNA and from wood pulp. The origins as to who's behind that lab, I've kept that so far relatively secret, though I'm beginning to drop some hints, toward the end of the 3rd season. Of course, everybody wants to know where she comes from. There's another creature, the wood pulp boy, who was also created by that same lab. And the two of them are currently on the run because government agents and authorities are after them, in our present day. And there's this divided camps. There's the people who think she's just terrible and are against her, and then she's got her supporters, the skateboarders that have rallied for her support, and a young man running for the slain Senator Quint's son, Anderson Quint Jr., and he supports her rights. He believes she has human rights too because she has human DNA. And so I have characters rooting for her, and then I've got characters that are completely against her, and so that's going on as well.
How did you come up with the idea of Flashy?
You're going to love that one. When I was a child, about 4 or 5, my mom used to get McCall magazine, and there were these little paper dolls, these little cutouts. And whenever my friends would come over, boys and girls both, we just loved going into the McCall's magazine. Somebody grabbed a pair of scissors and cut out the little doll and put the dolls on it. I watched this and saw this and was amused by it, as a child. Of course, I like to cut everything out. I like advertisements. I like cartoons. I collected everything. I collected the Dick Tracy comic strip as a kid for years and years and years. Used to keep notebooks of them. So I've always been fascinated by comic art and by artwork. And she sprung out of that. I also had a gigantic comic book collection as a kid as well. And so there's definitely the animated influence going there, I guess, all the way back from my childhood.
Yeah, that's really very interesting. Let's see. Can you describe some of the characters? I guess you already did describe a lot of the characters in your series.
Well, there may be more, and sure, I can go into any of them that you'd like. Sure.
Well, can you describe the creative process a little bit? How do you come up with all these different characters and scenarios? And
it's funny, and I think for different writers, because the idea begins in the mind, whether it was Ray Bradbury or Rod Serling with The Twilight Zone or Alfred Hitchcock directing, whatever. Robert Bloch, who wrote the original paperback for Psycho, which became the film that Hitchcock directed. The movie The Birds was based on a short story by Daphne du Maurier, and she's known for a lot of romantic-type gothics. Everything starts as a creative idea in someone's head, usually as a story or a novel. Margaret Mitchell spent a long time writing Gone with the Wind, never knowing that it would hit and become a success, never realizing it would become this huge, phenomenal movie, which it became. And that is so true of so many great works. Harper Lee, who did To Kill a Mockingbird, lived in a little town in Mississippi. He was friends with Truman Capote, who was from that same town, and also became a writer. And a lot of these creative ideas, I think some people are just naturally more creative, and I think that it is some of it comes in sparks. It might be from the subconscious mind. I lean very heavily toward that. I think that we get to thinking about something, or maybe we hear something in the news. That's what Stephen King said on CBS this morning the other day when Gayle King and Charlie Rose and some of the others were interviewing him. He said it can be anything. It can be something that I hear in the news. It can be a dream. It can be an event that happened in my childhood. But it will spark a short story or a novel in my mind, and I will use that event as the starting point or as the central point around which the story will develop or evolve. In fact, he talks about Cujo, which you may recall that movie and that book. Cujo is about this great big old fluffy, I can't think of the name of the dog, but you will in a minute. I'm sure one of us will. Those big fluffy dogs. And he went to some man's house out in the country one time to see about a car part or to see about getting a car fixed or whatever. And this seemingly friendly, innocuous dog just all of a sudden charged him and tried to bite him. And the owner came out and said, he's like that. If he doesn't know you or doesn't like you, he'll do that. And, I mean, this is, the fluffy dog, the kind of dog you saw in the movie Benji, that type of thing. And Stephen King made Cujo out of it. He basically has this dog that becomes rabid and terrorizes.
But the dog in the movie is one of those great big huge dogs.
Yes,
I can't remember the name of the breed, but they'll take up the entire bed of a truck. They're that big. I've seen them.
Exactly.
They're that big.
Exactly.
Yeah. And actually monsters. They're just monster dogs.
Yes, they are. And actually encountering one that was mean like that was the inspiration for Stephen King to come up with the book Cujo and then with the movie. And so I'm sure subconsciously a lot of what I'm creating is inspired by one thing or another. I can't always pinpoint it and point directly to a certain thing. I mean, Senator Quint's assassination may loosely be similar to JFK or to Robert Kennedy's assassination. You know, there's obviously some similarities because the high-powered rifle was used, this sort of thing. Obviously, serial killers have been all over the news for the past 30 or 40 years, and there have been a lot of them. You know, Ted Bundy being the one that most immediately springs to mind. Paper Doll, that is somewhat unique and very original on my part. I can't say any specific thing other than that childhood memory we talked about earlier really inspired her. But I think all of these things we draw upon our deep subconscious. I think creative people draw upon their subconscious without even being aware of it for so much of this stuff that we create. That would be my speculation based on my own experience.